Hello and welcome to Hot Indonesia, your English remedy for mental stress. I'm Dalton Tananaka in Jakarta. Here is this week's H-I Hotlist. Gender bender. Why has Indonesia had a female president and not the United States and other countries? Number 2, Jakarta still doesn't have a vice governor. Why not? And money match. The culture minister says the rich should marry the poor to reduce poverty. Huh? Okay. Here are my co-hosts each and every week. Sanjina Malakiano, former TV news anchor, now a political marketing consultant and dessert lover. I saw you eating about a dozen donuts the other day.
Really?
Yeah. And Santiago Uno, former vice governor of Jakarta. How appropriate. Business executive and fasting man at the moment.
I'm fasting?
Yeah, okay.
That's why there's no mug
no
here.
cups.
Hot topic number 1, gender bender. Now, the U.S. presidential race is beginning to run hot with the latest Democratic Party debate producing fireworks. Of the 10 major candidates, 3 are women. But no female has ever served as a top leader in America and never in Japan, Russia, or China as well. Now, here in Indonesia, a different story. Megawati Soekarno-Putri served as president for a little more than 3 years from 2001. She is just one of 87 countries historically that have had a woman at the top. Now, it helped that she was vice president at the time, that President Abdurrahman Wahid was impeached and removed from office, and that she is the daughter of the country's founding father also helped, I think. People watching overseas, I think, should understand that here, though, it's more about political party, it's about politics than the person, unlike other countries, correct?
In terms of gender politics, Indonesia is way advanced compared to America. We declared independence in 1945. First election was in 1955. And by then, women had the right to vote. Whereas in the States, the first election was in 1789. And women had to wait for 131 years
not that
to
progressive
get
as Americans.
the right to vote. And it has gone as far as only becoming a candidate. Hillary lost against Trump recently, but that's as far as it went for the States. Whereas in Latin America and in Asia, actually, we've got lots and lots of women leaders.
Okay, and the question is why? Why in Indonesia are we ahead of more developed democracies?
I think historically, Indonesia have a rich history of women leaders. Malahayati, the first woman admiral from Aceh. We have Cut Nyak also from Aceh. And actually in West Sumatra, the mothers, it's a very matrilineal culture in West Sumatra. So we place, I guess, motherhood as a very, very respective role in our society. And after 98 democratizations, women play so many important roles in key government positions. Now, I think, I guess Indonesia is very lucky to have President Megawati serve for 3 years. And if you look at the first female head of state in the world, it's actually also another Asian country, it's Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka in 1960s. So
Asia has led the way in female leaders.
And we have good, really good supplies and the bench for women leaders. So I think for us, it's more. You mentioned it's political party, yes, in a way, but more so, and I think you as a political marketing consultant would attest that more so now is a figure. People, because of the direct president
You think it's the person?
Yeah, it's the person. They're really looking at the person's, how Jokowi was, and SBY in a way was perceived by the electorals.
And maybe that's why Mega wasn't reelected, because of the person.
I would not,
she had the machinery, right? She had the political
She had the machinery.
She was the incumbent.
Yeah, there's so many political factors contributing, but I guess the discussions like should we have a woman leader is no longer in.
It's not an issue anymore here.
No more an issue in Indonesia culturally. We could the man have big enough heart to say
Yeah.
You know,
We've got quite a number
It's not just that. I mean, it's not men giving permission, but
the governors,
I think the situation.
regions. We've got quite a number of women leaders.
But since
across
Megawati's
Indonesia.
time, there has not been a serious female candidate for president. right?
Not yet.
Why
A
not?
few names are coming up right
Yeah,
now,
a few
actually,
names.
for
Yeah.
the
That
for
was a long
the
time ago.
upcoming.
That was almost 20 years ago.
Well, now
no.
you have the mayor of Surabaya, the governor of East Java, Kofifa, the finance minister, head of DPR.
So the next generation, you're
The next
saying.
generation is full.
And Megawati's time was just, she was the lone female figure, probably, right?
And- and-
At that time, yes, but now it's actually more and more are appearing now. It's like the blossoming of women leaders in Indonesia. But unfortunately, in the cabinet, we lost a few women because previously we had more. I think a reduction of 3 ministers, women ministers, but still, it's proof that in Indonesia, women have been given a fair place, a
So
fair
maybe
choice.
you're saying culture opened the door, then it's the person who, the ability walks in the door, right? Or takes advantage of that.
And when I mentioned earlier that the stigma before with the glass ceiling is basically the system sort of like prevented, right? And the man was really within the establishments trying to prevent it. But in the corporate world, now we see more women leaders also. In the SMEs, women is taking the forefront. 70% of the SMEs in the culinary business are led by women. So I
Part
think,
of culture, I think, Sandy. Like in Bali, it's the women who work.
exactly.
Yeah. So it's nothing. It's very common in Indonesia nowadays. You see women taking charge.
Yeah, and I think in other parts of the world, it's gonna be eventually.
Yeah.
Eventually, you'll see basically more women leaders.
Well, actually, should have happened in the last election in the U.S. I mean, everything was set up for Hillary Clinton to win this. She actually won more popular votes than Donald Trump, but lost in our unusual electoral
Several
college
names
system.
that arise, like Condoleezza Rice, Madeleine Albright, but they didn't get that far.
Yeah,
Who
they're-
knows
they're-
now?
They're more operational than political, those names. But now you've got 3 women, and
Elizabeth
Yeah.
Warren, Amy
Klobuchar and
Klobuchar.
Tulsi Gabbard
And
from,
Tulsi
from
Gabbard.
Hawaii. Yeah, those 3 are the major candidates left. Not sure if they'll get through, but at least they're running and they're making waves. So
Yeah. So it's a wait and see
yeah,
for what's happening.
you know,
What's going to happen in the
What's your
States?
predictions? I mean,
Do you see any women running?
I think possibly a woman might emerge from the Democratic side. One of those 3. Maybe Amy Klobuchar. She's doing well in the debates.
It's going to be harder from the Republican Party.
I think they.
They're more conservative?
Yeah, Republicans. You know, it's the land of Trump. I mean, so he's got it for the next 4 years. No one's going to challenge it. But let's see who emerges, and then we'll talk more about the presidential race because that kind of is the bellwether. So more Hot Indo will continue shortly. Number 2: how necessary are vice presidents and vice governors? You're watching Hot Indonesia with Sandrina, Sandy, and me. Here's hot topic number 2. Number 2. Now, it's said in politics that nobody votes for the second person on the ticket. A former American vice president famously said that his job was, quote, not worth a bucket of warm spit. Now, he actually used another word, but you get the idea. But just about at every office, at every level, has a deputy, including Jakarta. But the job has been vacant ever since that office holder resigned to run for vice president, and that person is sitting to our left.
Yeah, because he's hosting Hot Indonesia.
Sandy, it seems to me that the governor could use some help. He's wallowing in some high waters, literally. Why no replacement yet?
well, constitutionally, the law is basically would allow the 2 parties that nominate the pair in 2017 to actually put forward 2 names that will be then selected or voted by the city council. The 2 names that has been put forward earlier was not basically accepted by the city council, and they had to do a fresh round of nominating another 2. So I heard that this is finally, after 18 months, going to get done next month in March. We'll see. But it's high-level politics. And I think it's very important to have number 2 because the job is very tough. And you could subdivide some of the the task, in particular in relations to supervisions, monitoring the development. That could be done by the number two.
It's written in the law,
Who's
right?
doing it now then for the past 18 months?
That's why he's overwhelmed. He doesn't have the energy to
Well,
do
he can't
all
blame
that.
that. I mean, he's got to take more the governor.
Yes,
on
I
his
agree. I
responsibility.
agree. But it's taking so long, 18 months.
I mean, is the job description
They have
written
two
that
names
way?
right now.
The job
already.
description is one line. It's basically to help the governor.
That's what I mean.
And,
So
and,
there is
and
room for
represent-
whoever. Yeah.
And represent the governor whenever he's not available. So it's just basically
But
helping the governor.
But it is possible, to have a written agreement between
Or
these
unwritten,
two.
unspoken agreement.
But better written, like SBY and Yusuf Kala had that in writing. So the division of the responsibilities. That's why Yusuf Kala was really. They became this dynamic duo.
Yeah.
A very dynamic duet, and you could see. But then also some say it became a problem too because there were two suns in the sky.
Oh, but he really helped. He was one of the working vice presidents in our country's
And then
history.
it's a very, very different when Pak Budiono took Pak Yusuf Kala's place. Then it became a harmonious
Since
duet.
that time, it's kind of been just support him for the election. I mean, and not be
Yes.
too strong themselves. Now, Sanji, let me ask you, as Sandy said, you're a political marketing consultant and an expert. How much in Indonesia does the vice position mean in an election? I mean,
And it means a lot, actually, yes, because you have to always combine. When it comes to a presidential election, usually you have to cover the entire Indonesia. That's why they say Java and non-Java. It has to be, if the president is from a Javanese descent, then the vice president, most preferably, should be from outside Java to be able to unite the country. And then also in character, usually old and young, they say like that. In terms of popularity also. So if one candidate lacks popularity, then the other one should be able to support. This happened in West Java.
Right.
Aher Deddy Mizwar. Aher was facing Dede Yusuf, who was becoming really popular at that time. So he needed somebody really popular to be able to compete. Deddy Mizwar had the popularity, but he hadn't. So it was complementary, actually. Aher, Ahmad Heriawan, had the knowledge and the experience. So it became a good couple.
Okay, now, did Jokowi need Maruf Amin to win?
That was, I think, another consideration because
And another one, you have opinions, I'm sure, sir?
that was more on the religious side, I think.
So that's the other aspect, the religious
Yes,
side.
yes.
You need, but they both were Muslim. They both are Muslim.
Yes, but there is this.
All four
what they
candidates,
say,
right?
yeah, both Muslim. But you see, in Indonesia, also there is NU Muhammadiyah, and then there is the hardcore Islam and the so-called more liberal Islam.
So it said that Jokowi needed that more conservative side of the religion to bring that side of the vote, right?
Yes, and also in terms of charisma, maybe to be able to.
Does Mr. Maruf have charisma?
In the religious leaders'
This man
point
has
of view,
charisma, yeah.
I agree.
I'm really enjoying this conversation.
No, look at the contrast between Maruf and
But
Sandy.
look, Sandy,
I mean,
Sandy and Prabowo. I mean, he
was a-
represented the young
it
generation,
was a
the
great
popular.
balance.
It was. He was really popular. So it added really. He played a huge role
Okay.
also for during the presidential.
As long as the
candidate.
VP, the number two, doesn't hurt you, it's okay. But if it helps you, it's a great
We were
thing.
not expecting Maruf Amin, honestly. It was quite a surprise to see, it's Jokowi Maruf Amin.
I'd like to basically point out that it's the official next in line. It's like one heartbeat away.
If something happens,
If
right.
something happened, the number two constitutionally automatically become the president. So it was not the case in the U.S. not until the 25th Amendment in 1967. So basically that's, in my opinion, something that we should consider because the pair should not just work well together, but make sure that if something happened, because risk is have to be mitigated and risk has to be calculated, that if something happened to number one, the number two will automatically step in, as in the case of President Megawati, where she served a very good role.
Yeah, very good point. The voters should think about that, not just
That's
this
right.
election, but going forward.
That's
but
right.
you know, only 2 vice presidents in Indonesian history have moved up to the top spot. In 2024, Mr. Maruf is not considered to be among the candidates. I think that's safe to say, right?
Don't speak too soon.
Oh,
Politics
what?
is
You never
very
know.
dynamic.
You think he might stand? But anyway, wouldn't it make
he
sense?
would be considered young compared to Mahathir Mohamad.
Everybody's considered young compared to him. I mean, would it make sense to maybe have
But you have to be young and healthy, though.
a younger candidate or even a female candidate, at least
Yeah.
in the team again, right? A lot of options.
Yeah.
Yep.
The field is out very open.
It's
It's
wide
still
open.
very fluid now.
Yeah.
So you never know. It's just there might be a black horse suddenly
Yeah.
appearing.
But the point is, the number 2 in Indonesia plays a role because of the dynamics of the situation here.
It
More
should-
so
but-
than in other
But
countries.
actually, yes, you have to have a firm agreement amongst the candidate. During the election, they have to. You and Anis also had some sort of agreement. That's why he played. You were vice president for 2 years and
Vice governor.
Sorry,
He wanted to be vice
Yes,
president.
vice governor.
Came darn
Thank you
close.
very much for reminding
You
that.
came close.
Consider that a prayer.
A prayer. Yeah,
Amen to
Let's
that.
see where we go from now. Okay, more Hot Indo is ahead. Money match. Will poverty be wiped out if the rich marry the poor? You're watching Hot Indonesia from Jakarta. Here's hot topic number 3, money match. It came in a speech on February 19th. The coordinating Human Development and Culture Minister Muhaji Effendi said an Islamic fatwa or order should be issued requiring the poor to marry the rich and the rich to marry the poor. He said this would help reduce the near 10% national poverty rate. Now, it was pointed out that the government doesn't have the authority to issue fatwas. That's another group's issue.
Yes.
In the first place, now, it makes kind of sense on paper if you really want to balance the numbers, but it would be a very one-sided proposition,
But
I would
doesn't
think,
solve
right?
the problem actually. First, and of course, Sandy, you made a public statement. Also, it's a private area whom you want to get married to.
You think?
Of course. I mean,
The word is called love. Yeah.
The government shouldn't just meddle in personal issues like that. Okay, maybe he said that he wants to cut the chain of poverty to reduce the number of poverty.
But practically, who
But-
would do it?
But that's actually not the solution. I mean, you should focus on education, on health issues.
Good thing Sandy's married already. You know,
No,
otherwise
I want to.
you'd be under pressure.
No, you're not married?
No, I want to ask clarification. Does that proposed fatwa would only include singles or also people who are already married?
Ooh, yeah, multiple wives. But
Because normally people got rich, they already have families.
yeah. And to help
And my wife would
no.
not like this, where this conversation is going.
and you wouldn't either. That's a bigger
Yeah, I
burden
mean,
for you.
But it's.
I mean, why would a minister
I mean,
say
we laugh
something like
about
this?
it.
Yeah,
It's,
why?
it's providing like a good jokes for us. But this is something that we have to be very careful. This is issued by one very senior government official.
Cabinet member.
Not only cabinet, coordinating minister. And he was the previous
Minister of
Minister
Education.
for Education. I mean, he's very highly referred to. I know him personally. He was a rector in Universitas Muhammadiyah. So we need to make sure that we don't create confusions. I mean,
Well, he said it was an intermezzo. He said he was not.
it's tongue in cheek.
Yeah, it's,
something
it's,
like
He
it's
did?
not. It's not. Yeah.
No, because he also said. No, he also said.
After that,
he
clarified.
he got the flack on social media.
He still stood by what he said, saying that it would be good if people would do it, but
But you can't order people to do it. And he also said, though, in that same speech, that maybe we should have a premarital certification that couples must prove to the government that they are financially stable before they can get married. In that same speech. So to me, it's like the requirement in Japan. You have to have a parking space before you buy a
buy a
car.
car.
You know, but I think couples do that on their own anyway. They don't want to enter marriage really disadvantaged, right?
There are two really big credo that this is going to go into a discussions. First, we have a saying, jodoh di tangan Tuhan. Basically, God will provide your couple,
The soulmate.
your soulmate.
You better-
Secondly, is that the belief that we said that rezeki di tangan Tuhan. Rezeki means that your financial well-being is also going to be granted by God, and also they're saying that banyak anak banyak rezeki. So when you have kids, you actually have the financial well-being. So this is very interesting, in my opinion, that what Pak Muhajir is saying. It's a discourse, because the poverty level is, I was in Wonosobo last week, where the poverty level is at 17%. And it's something that we need to do fundamentally different to make sure that we bring down the poverty
Yeah, and it has
level.
been progressively gotten better.
Yes,
The middle
yes.
class has grown,
Right.
and it's taken a natural course. It didn't take a government
say,
order to say
we
the rich
have-
marry the
Yes.
poor.
5
Yeah.
million poor households
Yeah.
in Indonesia
Yeah,
right
and
now, which is quite a big number.
You need to fix the educations, the healthcare systems, the economy. Jobs has to be created. That's how you
course.
bring down the...
So when they get married, they have the financial independence. They
course.
have the
Everyone
creativity. They
wants
have
that.
the knowledge.
Yeah.
So that's actually the most important thing that the government should focus on that.
Yeah, he
That's
gave us
what I
a
believe.
good topic for conversation. Okay, it is feedback time now, and we want to hear from you wherever you are, however you're watching us. Davina in Jakarta posted this on Instagram about our discussion on organizing the Formula E racing event coming in June. I suppose the government itself wants to keep it in its own government circle. We're talking about the funding, yeah, and that's what we questioned, Davina, whether it would be better in private sector hands. And one more post on Instagram, this one from Ratmi. My regards to Sandrina, one of my favorite news anchors. Ours too, Ratmi. Here's how to contact us with your feedback. Email at hotindo@theindonesiachannel.com or comment to our Hot Indonesia or Indonesia channel or TV1, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube pages. Final words, Sandrina.
Yes, rainy season is here, and predicted in the upcoming few days it will still be a bit high in terms of rainfall. So please take care. Hopefully, we'll get through all these tough times in Jakarta and surrounding areas. Our hearts go out to you. Stay healthy, especially with the corona outbreak. We never know. They say we don't have any definite cases here in Indonesia, but it would still be best if you take care of your immune system. Take care, and especially, I think Sandy has news about the coronavirus outbreak.
Yeah, final words, Sandy?
Yeah.
Well, I was sitting into a conference call on the Global Investments Committee and some major banks, and basically they're calling that there will be more uncertainties caused by this coronavirus. So I would like to mention to everybody to take care, especially on the SMEs side, because the SMEs will face the bigger brunts for the slowdown in economy, the slowdown in the I guess, tourist arrival. Stay very, very, wash your hand with precautions, making sure that...
And make sure if you have plans to go abroad, to if your events are still ongoing there. You never know. Everything is being canceled worldwide now.
Worldwide.
Umrah also.
We just heard that the Umrah is now the Saudi Arabia government just issued a pause in the Umrah pilgrims' arrival. So please make sure that you stay safe. And when you have a business, also make sure that we tighten your belt and brace for, I guess, the financial sort of like cash flow impact.
Yes, still more to come. Okay, my final words now. I watched this past week as angry residents vandalized the East Jakarta Mall, blaming owners for flooding in their homes, surrounding homes after heavy rains. If this was a construction defect, then approach the problem through dialogue and not violence, in my opinion. And it's a city government, not the mall's fault, that's responsible for permits and flood control. The solution must start with City Hall, your representatives, right?
That's right.
And that's Hot Indonesia for this week. For Sandrina and Sandy, I'm Dalton Conraka. See you next time.